Hello and welcome to Pompey Talk in partnership with Giant Leap ahead of Pompey's clash with Crawley this weekend. My name's Jeff Marshman and I'm joined on the sofa today by Sports Desk colleague Jordan Cross. Jordan, a chance for Pompey to complete a hat-trick of wins in League Two.
That's the big one of the big talking points going into the game, isn't it, Jeff? The fact that it's the sought-after third league win on the bounce. It took us until April last season to do that, and that was obviously one of the key reasons why we ended up in the playoffs and not in the automatic promotion places. So Paul Cook talking that down when we asked him that, naturally, obviously, I bet that will be one of the issues in the team talk. It was picked up on. People who were talking about it last week when I spoke to the players. Spoke to Tom Davis after the Exeter game. That fact. So the players are well aware of it. The management are well aware of it. They're saying publicly that it's no big deal, but it's a landmark. And yeah, we're looking for that consistent run of form, aren't we? So if we can do that and get it, up to 11 points. What we thought was a kind of indifferent start is starting to become a stronger one.
I was going to say, it's funny how quickly things can change in football. Three games without a win, and now all of a sudden looking for three in a row.
It's one of Paul Cook's big bugbears at the moment, the way that he thinks everything's taken in context of the preceding result. No, it's just literally game to game. So if it's a kind of a defeat, as it was after Morecambe, everyone's doom and gloom. And then everyone's on a high after a success. But the margins are fine ones. I think that's kind of natural. I mean, to an extent, but it's one of the themes that I picked up on in my column this week. The way that we seem to revel in the misery somewhat, or the negativity that's going around. We had 118 comments after the Morecambe game, and as you pointed out, I used it in my column that Michael Smith, after he scores a hat trick, I'm sure you're going to go on to. Yep. We get 3 comments. So it seems the way of the world. And there's something to look at there, perhaps for supporters, why that's the case. But from a playing point of view, it's a results business, isn't it? And you're going to be asked questions from game to game. So there's probably a medium in there in terms of when we speak to Paul Cook about it.
Plenty to talk about this week, as you've sort of alluded to there. I guess the first thing to do is just sort of check back in with the Checkatrade Trophy, as it's now called.
Back in with the Checkatrade.
I didn't even mean to do that, but there you go.
That rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Checking in. No, well, it's just Michael Smith, isn't it? The Michael Smith conundrum, if you like. He was a player that I think a lot of fans were thinking it was right to take him out of the starting lineup and give him a bit of a rest, because he'd had a few games without a goal and maybe looked a bit short of confidence. And then he comes back in on Tuesday night in what is essentially quite a meaningless game. But for him, all of a sudden, he's played himself right back into contention, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's maybe giving Paul Cook a conundrum going into the striker selection for this weekend. It's great for the lad. I think everyone's patience was wearing a little thin, but the players just stood by him. And there's a great line from Gareth Evans in today's paper saying that any flack for a player at this formative stage is pathetic, which is quite strong stuff. Good line there, whoever got that one. So it's a talking point. And if you're going to look at a diamond formation, as probably is the case this weekend, with 2 up front, you start having a debate there about who's going to be the couple. And Michael Smith, you wouldn't have thought would be on most people's radars until after the game on Tuesday. And it's interesting whether you look at how Paul Cook often does games in groups and say, okay, we'll go with Smith, we'll give him a game there. He needs a game in the Checkatrade, and then we go with the plan is to go with X and Y, Main or whoever.
But has he sort of changed that by?
Well, that's the thing. That's the debate now, isn't it? And do you know what? I've sat there agonising over who he's going to go with at the weekend, and I'm still not quite sure. I think my personal opinion is, if I have my choice, I'd probably go with Hunt and Chaplin, because I like what they say. I mean, they excited me when they come off the bench. Their energy at Exeter was fantastic. What might Cookie go with? I'm maybe leaning towards Smith and Chaplin. Just because Chaplin, there's that real groundswell now, and the lift that it's going to give the home fans, particularly if he was to start. But still not quite sure. That's the real key talking point, isn't it? Really, going into the game, if he does go with a diamond, that is as well, and the personnel there. But who would you look at for 2 up top?
I think Smith's played himself into it for me. I think if strikers are, by their nature, confidence players, aren't they? If they score goals, they quite often get into a sort of a run of goals, and I think it was right to take Smith out when he was taken out, but now he's come back in and scored a hat-trick. I think you want to play him now.
How can you leave out someone after a hat-trick?
Exactly right. And I think him and Chaplin could work well together, sort of the little and large partnership, and Smith's quite good with his back to goal, isn't he? And Chaplin's a very alert, sort of bright player in and around the box, so I feel like they could sort of benefit each other. I don't think you could play Chaplin up front on his own. I don't think anyone would ever suggest that. So, as Paul Cook has alluded to, and as I think we expect for tomorrow's game with Crawley, he's going to go with 2 up front. I think those 2 are quite well suited, although, as you said, Hunt could play up there, Main could play up there as well, so it's sort of an embarrassment of riches up front really for Pompey at this moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
One player that we know who won't be involved in the action is Adam Barton, obviously. Transfer deadline day came and went, and he's off to Partick Thistle. We've got Dominic Hyam, who's come in at central defence.
Careful how you pronounce that, Jeff.
Exactly, Neil Allen, take note.
Just look on Neil Allen's Twitter, apparently, for the Neil Allen pronunciation or spelling of Hyam.
But what do you make of Barton leaving? Was that kind of a little bit out of the blue, or was it?
I guess so. Having chatted with Paul Cook about it, it's kind of understandable on all parts. I don't think he's going to get a new contract here in the last year. He's kind of a peripheral figure, quite useful that he kind of become a more versatile player. But he's got the chance to go and play in the SPL. He's been offered a 3-year deal, so he's obviously gone up to Paul Cook and said, well, look, I've got this and I've got to be a part of things here moving forward. Paul Cook said, well, no, you're not. So he goes off, and Pompey get a transfer fee. I'm not sure, it's not going to be a whopping fee, but 5 figures. So it kind of makes sense for everyone, really. If you can go out and get a lad on loan who's sort of not going to break the bank in Hyam.
He'll just give cover, won't he?
Yeah, of course. I saw him play for Dagenham against Pompey last season. He was kind of sound enough there, but they, in terms of, he's obviously highly thought of at Reading. He's in an age group international, under 21. And I think he'll come in as cover, really, but it's going to be a good experience for him, to be around what is a decent squad of players. So, it makes sense on all parts there. And Barton, great lad, got to know him quite well. Hope he goes on and plays his football and get some football at Partick.
Are you all right just to sort of clear up the Kyle Bennett situation and what happened on transfer deadline day? Over to you.
Yeah, messy one that, isn't it? No. Benno didn't play, wasn't involved last week. The question was put to Liam Richardson, what was going on there. He said that he was just being taken out and given a rest. But then as things progress, there was an interest from Ipswich. It didn't get as far as a formal offer, as we understand it. And I think just judging by how close it went, it kind of within the day before, and it was probably apparent at Pompey, if they were to get rid of Bennett, wouldn't be able to get anyone else in. So Pompey have to cover themselves, don't they? And that was as far as that went. Paul Cook was asked about it yesterday. Pretty defensive. I mean, it's his prerogative. He's not going to come out. He's great with us as press, but he's not going to lay all his cards on the table every single time. So he said there wasn't. That was pretty much it. There wasn't an offer, but there's something obviously more going on behind the scenes there. Bennett's probably a bit more out of favour at the moment, and maybe he just needs to. I mean, he's a great lad, by the way, but maybe just a bit more out of favour. It seems at present with the lads coming in. Laukovic and what have you. So it was on the cards. It didn't quite materialise. He's here, and hopefully he can sort of play himself back into favour and show his ability, because he is a great lad, popular around the club. Got to know him quite well, and he's great to deal with. And there's no doubt that he's a match winner on his day. But just needs to sort of get himself back into favour and playing his best football again.
Remains to be seen, obviously, if he's involved tomorrow or if he starts. But one man that we are expecting to start is obviously David Forde. Can you just give us an update on what's going on with him, obviously, after the Republic of Ireland?
Called up for Ireland. It wasn't so important with the checker trade. You have
to do it every time.
Every time now, yeah. Because it gave Liam O'Brien a game, but obviously with a view that the international call-up would rule him out for Crawley. But Ireland, Martin O'Neill said that he can come back, and they called up a player
Huge
from the...
boost that for Pompey.
Oh, it's massive. Yeah. Massive, because he's been so important, and the figure that he is. I mean, the defensive strength has been there to see in recent games. I think it's for out 4 now, isn't it? Clean sheets, and he's been probably the key figure in that. So, I kind of did a column a few weeks ago saying I think he could be the key man this season, the key summer addition in what is now 14 signings.
Yeah.
And he's been important, so can't underestimate the importance of having him in there. Great that Ireland with Martin O'Neill's let him come back and play, and just a big boost going into the game. And
talking on the game, obviously we always end the show with a couple of predictions. Crawley, it's probably worth sort of pointing out they've had a good start to the season. Do you think that they'll be a bit of a tougher test than most people will think?
Well, memories of Crawley's last season when we went to their place and they
game.
Parking the bus and Cookie was having a few words to say with their dugout during the game about the style of football that they were playing. And
just remind fans that was really early on in the season.
Yeah,
Crawley were at home. Wasn't
they? At home. And they literally put 11 men behind the ball, just tried to stop Pompey playing, and Cookie was, making it, running battles with the dugout about their philosophy, and it really grates Cookie, and he couldn't quite believe it. But Dermot Drummond's come in. They're recruiting, I think, up to about 19 or 20 new signings, but it's also put in a totally new philosophy. They've had a good start going to the game on 8 points with Pompey. Drummy's well grounded at the likes of Arsenal and Chelsea. Well thought of, and Cook's upbeat about the prospect that they might come down and give Pompey an expansive
James Collins up front as well.
Yeah, I'm looking around at the business. Talking about transfer deadline, I was really struggling to find business that I was kind of from League Two rivals. I was thinking, wow, that's a good bit of work. And the one I did come up with was Collins. I thought Barry going to Leyton Orient might be a good signing. He hasn't proved that way so far, but the other one's Collins. A real rugged player and. A decent bit of work there by Drummy. So hopefully they can come down and put on a spectacle and we get the game that we didn't get at Crawley last season.
With that in mind, what is your score prediction?
Upbeat about it. I think we can go in and have a decent game. A few goals in this one. I'll go for a 3-1 win.
3-1, so a hat-trick of Pompey wins for you there.
Absolutely, yeah. What are you going for, JJ?
I'm going to go and play a little bit more safe. I'll go for a 2-1 Pompey win, but I think that the Pompey should have enough. I think if they pair Smith and Chaplin, I expect both of them to score. How about that for you?
Yeah, nice one. As safe as your jumper.
Safe as my jumper, right. Well, that brings another amusing episode of Pompey Talk to a close. Do be aware that you can follow all of our progress online at Facebook and do check in also on YouTube with Giant Leap's channel on there. Thanks very much.